Welcome back. I get a lot of questions from the students regarding the new format of the TOEFL test. I wrote an article on my website, which I will put in the descriptions down below. In this video, I just want to go over all the changes and show you examples of the questions that you will see in the new format of the TOEFL test. Let me just share my screen and we'll get right to it. Okay, perfect. So, starting with the reading. Instead of having 3 passages, which was the norm, when I took the test 9-10 years ago, you would sometimes get an experimental passage. They would give you a 4th passage that wouldn't really affect your score. And it was quite a long reading section. Sometimes, the 4 passages would probably take, I don't remember how long they would give you, but it was rather a long reading section. But now they just give you 2. And the length seems to be a bit longer than the ones we used to get when we had 3 passages. But officially, they haven't mentioned that. Now the passages you get are somewhere between 500 to 700 words. And regarding the difficulty, they, again, haven't mentioned anything. But in my experience, from what I'm seeing, the passages now are a bit more difficult than when you used to get, than when we had 3 passages. The time is 35 minutes, give or take. And the scoring, it's there hasn't been any changes to the scoring. It's exactly as it was in the past. The question types, the same. You get factual statements, you get sentence placement, you get sentence summary, you get prose summary questions in the end, where you have to choose 3 options from 6. So the type of questions hasn't changed. We just go from 3 passages to 2. They're a bit longer and a bit more difficult. And that's it for the reading section. And to practice, you can go to my website. Again, it will be in the descriptions down below. Go to TOEFL Reading practice test. And let me just open the... Come on. Okay. Okay, we're back now. And unfortunately, because of some caching issues on the site, I cannot open it on my normal browser. So this is, now you are going to see ads on the website. I apologize for that, but it kind of keeps things running. So let's see. So if you go to TOEFL Reading and Reading Practice Test, you are going to see this page with, at this point, 21 reading practice tests that closely mimic everything you'll see in the real test. These are based on real TOEFL reading passages. So, and each page comes with the passage. Third time's the charm. I actually disabled the plugin that was causing the issue. And I hope it works this time. Now let's see. So each page comes with the full passage and a quiz that shows you questions one by one. And I have highlighted the other parts that had to be highlighted. You get some links that takes you to pages with pages that describe prefixes like co and in, roots like scribe, and suffixes like ment or ence, ence and end, and so on. So just to give you an example, for example, with ment, if you click on it, it will take you to the page with suffixes and automatically scroll you down, and you get more examples. So ment is used to form nouns that indicate the result or act of an action or process. So move, movement, develop, development, improve, improvement, and so on. You get the idea. And on this page, you will get all the other ones as well. So going back, you can also just start the quiz. And as soon as you answer, you get the right or wrong. You get the result and some explanation for why it was right or not. So yeah, now going to the listening section of the test. Okay, taking our sweet time, no rush. The listening, quite similar to what we had prior to these changes. You get 3 lectures with 6 questions, and each has 6 questions, of course. and you get 2 office visits, conversations, as we call them, with 5 questions each. And if you haven't seen them before, it's this is, I mean, in this video, I don't want to give a detailed summary of the listening section, but in the lectures, you'll get a scientific lecture regarding something like, I don't know, statues in the US, or some kind of dinosaur, or some historical artifact. And then 2 or 3 pieces of information about that thing. For example, there is one about calendars, and then it gives you 3 examples of calendars in the past, and what was each one based on, and what was each of those calendars used for. And then in the end, the professor goes back to the introduction and answers the question that he or she initially asked. It's usually things like that. You'll get examples of it on the site as well. And office visits, it's a student and a receptionist or a professor or a clerk talking about, I don't know, homework, assignments, and it usually goes something like this. The student shows up and says, well, I need to talk to Professor X, not the one from the X-Men. And then the receptionist says, oh, unfortunately, he is not here. Would you like to leave a message? And the student says, no, I have to talk to him regarding, and then that will be your first question. Why does the student go to see the professor? And then the receptionist gives 1 or 2 solutions. The student may agree or not agree, and then the student may give his own solution. And then in the end, they decide what the best outcome is. And that's basically your 5 questions. Now, let's see. Then you have the speaking. And now you have 4. Many years ago, it used to be 6. But they have actually streamlined it. Now it's just 4. And this wasn't actually the 2023 changes. This is, I think it was 3-4 years ago that they made it, that they reduced the number of tasks from 6 to 4. Task 1, independent. It's very similar to the old writing task that you had. So they just ask you a basic question like, some people like to live with roommates. Some people prefer to live alone. Which one do you like? And then you have to explain why. Or some people like to save money. Some people think you should always spend money as soon as you earn it. So which one do you think is better? What are the advantages or disadvantages of whatever topic? And then you have 45 seconds to talk about that. Let me just check my time because I have a class soon. So task 2, it's a university or a hospital or a school making a new decision. For example, they want to start building dormitories away from the campus, or they want to stop serving cold food in the cafeteria. And they give you a short passage explaining the decision, and they give you 1 or 2 reasons for doing so, for making that decision. And then you get a student talking about it. Either he's going to agree or disagree with it. If they agree, they will build on the reasons that the university gives. And if they disagree, they will explain why. So again, I will give you a real example from the official guide to TOEFL IBT, 6th edition, which is exactly the same as the 5th edition, which is exactly the same as the 7th edition. Also, if you want to buy the 7th edition, don't. The only thing that has changed is they have added like 10 new pages regarding the new writing task, and you'll get examples of it on our website. These are not taken directly from the book, but they are based on the samples that we had in the 7th edition. So if you want to spend money on the book, don't. You have free articles here. So we'll get to the writing section later on. And for the speaking, an example is a university has decided to build dormitories off campus. They believe by doing so, they are going to reduce the number of parking spots required for the students. And also they are going to they are going to help students have a more cultural experience, a better overall experience by going to businesses and supporting local vendors and so on. The student disagrees, and she mentions that if they actually do this, students are going to need even more parking spots because now a lot of the students who used to just walk to the classes now have to use their own cars. And also because they cannot use the public transport that is available on campus. So as a result, not only it will not reduce the number of parking spots required. It will actually increase it. Also, she believes that time spent on campus should be prioritized over time spent off campus. So, and then your job is to just summarize both positions, briefly mentioning the decision and the reasons for it, and then explaining explaining the speaker's decision and the reasons for it. And 10-15 seconds for the summary of the passage, and 45 seconds for the speaker, something like that. Section 3, you'll get, let's see, Section 3, you'll get a scientific topic written in, the passage is usually very short. They give you 45 seconds to read it. And then 45 or 50, I don't really remember. I mean, I should. I'm doing it every day, so you would think I would remember, but I don't. So they will ask you to, so let me just do this. Oh, much better. There was nothing on the screen for you to read. So they will give you a scientific topic, and then the professor gives you one or two examples that actually clarify things further and also explain them. One example is, again, taken from TOEFL IBT guide, the official guide, 5th edition, 6th edition, or 7th edition. You can choose whichever. It will have the exact same example. It's something called the actor-observer concept. And that is, we judge ourselves and others differently for the same actions. When we do something, we tend to justify it and say, well, I did it because I needed to. And that's because we are aware of everything that happens in our life, the situation that we have. But when someone else does the same action, we actually judge them harshly. And usually that's because we don't know what they are going through. And then the professor just gives you an example of him being at the supermarket and someone cutting in line in front of him. And he thinks that guy is an asshole. And probably shouldn't have used that word. But, I mean, come on. We are all adults here, hopefully. And then the next day, he is in the supermarket and he's in a hurry and he does the exact same thing. But he doesn't think of himself as a bad person. So then your job again is to, in 60 seconds, explain what the idea is and also give the two examples from the professor. And obviously you should show the connection between the written passage and the examples. So how do the examples prove or disprove whatever we mentioned in the passage? And in section 4 of the speaking, you'll get a lecture, and it's very similar to what you get in the listening section, in the scientific lectures of the listening. So this part of the listening and task 4 of the speaking are almost the same thing. I mean, basically you are doing the same thing, but in here you speak about it, in here you answer questions. So again, the professor talks about the scientific topic, similar to the lectures, and then you have to summarize the whole thing in 60 seconds. Again, how much time do I have? 15 minutes. I think it's going to be enough to mention the writing section as well. So now you get 2 tasks, just like the previous versions of the exam. But task 2 has changed. And instead of having the independent writing, you are now going to have the academic discussion. And you'll get to both of those. And let me show you examples of them. So TOEFL writing on the website, you can use the menu, go to writing. You can actually click here to get the page for writing with do's and don'ts, list of things that you should do, list of things that you shouldn't do, and all the information you need for the writing section. You can also scroll to the right and get task 1 sample questions and task 2 sample questions. We'll go through them one by one. Task 1, the integrated task, you get a passage. Let's use my favorite. You get a passage. Oh, come on,
A few moments later.
Okay, a long time has passed. A few hours, actually. And I think I fixed the issue. Let's take a look. TOEFL writing, samples for task 1. Okay, and the moment of truth. Okay, very nice. And Okay, I don't even remember what we were talking about in this video. So I believe it was writing task 1. They give you a passage, and it's always 4 paragraphs, an intro, and 3 different paragraphs covering advantages or different features of something, 3 different reasons why something is true or not true. And in this case, the intro tells you that broccoli is really great. And unfortunately, we cannot grow it on in most parts of the country. And the country, obviously, United States. And then it says that scientists are actually trying to create this new strain of broccoli called. I don't think there is a name. There is going to be a new type of broccoli that can be grown everywhere in the country, and they think this is going to have several benefits: 1, 2, and 3. And to give you a short summary of it, the first one is transportation cost is going to go down, which is good. And the second part tells you that even though they are using some GMO stuff, they are going to do some genetic modification. It's still going to be okay for most people. So public perception would be the second part. And finally, these broccolis, because they are fresh, they are consumed fresh, they are going to have more nutrients. And then you get the listening, which is actually a part of the problem was this plugin right here, causing the error that you saw earlier.
Now listen to.
So then you can play this, and the speaker almost always starts by telling you her position. So in this case, she will start by saying, well, people who want to create this type of broccoli mention some benefits, but are they really benefits? So that tells you that she doesn't agree with the points mentioned. Then she says, well, yes, transportation costs go down, but other costs go up, which will basically have no results in the end for the consumers. And 2, she will say, yes, they are using new techniques, but still people are not going to like it. And finally, she will say, yeah, fresh broccoli is good, but there are also other vegetables that we can consume. There are alternatives. So your job is to briefly summarize the position of the writer and then the lecturer. That's going to be it for your writing task 1. And then for task 2, which is probably the reason why you click on this video. This is the new writing task that they have added recently. This was introduced in July or June, I don't remember, of 2023. July, actually. And it's much shorter than the independent writing task that you would get in older tests. And on this page, you're going to get some do's and don'ts. I'll give you a short summary of it by using one of the examples on the site. And again, this is the reason why you don't need to buy the 7th edition of Official Guide to TOEFL. Because now let me give you a short... okay, I don't want to open the wrap because they may actually, for copyright issues, they will probably hit the video. So I'll just tell you that instead of adding new reading passages, they have just removed one of the 3 in each test. So instead of getting 3 passages for every test, they just removed one of the old ones, and now you have 2 of the old ones left. So not only they didn't add anything new, they actually removed some of the content that you had in the 6th edition. And for every other part of the test, they haven't added anything new. It's just the same book, the 6th edition. And they have added like 10 pages of new content for writing task 2, which you don't need. You can actually just use these ones, and it's exactly the same thing. So do not buy their book until they stop being lazy and they actually add new content. So let's see. Let's go with the green spaces, the first one. Okay, so let's see. Urban green spaces, academic discussion. You get 3 people every time. It's a professor asking a question or introducing an idea that can have 2 sides. For example, some people think we should have more parks in the city, while some others think instead of parks, we should actually use the space for buildings. And then each of the students that you get in the test is going to agree with one side and provide a reason for it. So in this case, me, I say, oh, actually parks are great. They are a good place. They are a good place to gather and have public events. It's a great place to socialize. It's a good way to promote community engagement and so on. So, and this is basically the whole point of this exercise. Each side addresses the other side's position. So in here he says, or I say, while urban development is important, so I mentioned the building part. Neglecting green spaces can lead to a less livable environment. So although it's important to have buildings, to have apartments and residential areas, it is more important to have parks. Then obviously the other side is going to say the opposite. And the other side will say, well, although parks are important, I think it's more important to have buildings and have more affordable housing, because if people cannot afford the houses, what's the point of having parks? And then your job is to address both sides briefly and agree with one or the other and add something new to the discussion. So if you want to, for example, support this person, you'll say, well, although Titan has a good point regarding affordable housing, I do not believe that, and then you'll add whatever your opinion is. And you could also say, although Titan has a good point, I agree more with Wahid's idea that, and then you just add something new. So on each page, there are, I think I have added 15 or 20 samples on the site. You get 20. On each page, you'll get samples of a high-level response and the examiner's comments for it. And I mean, in some of them, I have added 3. So let's say this is a sample that would get the full score. This is a mid-level writing, and this is a low-level response. And for each one, you get the examiner comments. These are based, actually I trained ChatGPT based on TOEFL's official book, the IBT Guide to TOEFL 7th edition. And these are generated by ChatGPT based on exactly what the real examiners have said. So yeah, for each one you can do that. You can also submit your writings and I will receive them automatically. And if you want, you can actually order evaluations for them, written or in the form of a video call. So that's going to be it. That's all the differences between the new TOEFL and the old one. And I wish you good luck. Thank you for watching.